Jake, is very clearly a cognitive decline.
Okay.
That's what I'm referring to. It makes me uncomfortable.
You have no.
I can't.
That's so amazing. It's so amazing to me that
try and figure out an answer.
A cognitive decline.
Well, you're trying to tell me that what I was suggesting was.
I think that you were mocking his stutter. Yeah, I think you were mocking his stutter, and I think you have absolutely no standing to diagnose somebody's cognitive decline. I would think that somebody in the Trump family would be more sensitive to people who do not have medical licenses diagnosing politicians from afar. Plenty of people have diagnosed your father from afar, and I'm sure it offends you. Your father.
Let's rock and roll. Rock and roll. Come on, everybody. Let's lose control.
It is the BJ Show. Today's date is November 17th. Is that right, John Combest?
That's correct, Brad. Good morning to you.
And that is John Combest, the guy who diagnoses me from afar all the time. Every single morning, John diagnoses me from afar. The leading clip was the infamous interview between Jake Tapper before he realized that the president was really in bad shape when he was still defending the president because he was in great shape, but all of a sudden, then he writes a book that talks about how the president's in bad shape. Isn't it interesting how unbiased our journalists are on national media? Isn't that interesting, John?
It is, and there's probably a guy across the river who's rolling over in his grave, who you'll reference in a moment. Brad, story number one today, when we get to it, makes a reference to your early onset dementia.
That is John Combest, who's always complimentary of me, as you can tell by that just the statement he just made there. Every single day, he puts together this incredible website called johncombest.com. Imagine that. C-O-M-B-E-S-T, johncombest.com. And what's on that website? Well, it's got every single day dozens of links of interesting stories you should go to. Nothing fancy. You go to a site, just like the date, and you just click on the stories you're interested in. But what we do in this show, we started off by bringing in this famous individual. We dig him out of his grave in Norway, dust him off, and what's your name again, sir?
I'm Casey Kasem.
And we count them down, if my voice will hold up, and we start with...
In third place...
Two of our three top stories today have a unique Brad Hildebrand angle to them. And we're going to start with, maybe you would call it whimsical, or Brad might call it painful story. From MissouriNet, nearly 3,000 deer-related crashes last year. Missouri drivers are advised to stay alert. Now, here's what the Highway Patrol Captain, Scott White, told MissouriNet. Quote, "We tell people we can give a bunch of statistics and crash numbers, but the truth is you can just drive the highways now and see that those deer are definitely moving, which unfortunately leads to the crashes that we see." You say, hey, cool story, John. Everybody knows that deer are out mating now and going bonkers, you know? So what should we do about it? Well, I included the story today because Captain White has a unique piece of advice, I guess, Brad, which I don't think you can emphasize too much. Quote, "Just picture it going down the highway. A deer runs out in front of you. Your first instinct is obviously to hit the brakes, but then it's also to steer the wheel. We don't want people steering off the roadway and then end up rolling over into a ditch or striking a tree. But then even more dangerous crossing that center line and oncoming traffic, which results in those head-on collisions. So in other words, what he suggests is the safest move is to slow down as much as possible and keep control of the wheel, because jerking the wheel could turn a close call into a serious crash. Now, Brad, we haven't discussed this in a long time, but one of the reasons why you're a bit handicapped and a bit gimpy is because you've been in multiple crashes, and one of them involved a deer, didn't it?
It did, and the Highway Patrol guy is exactly right. There are more people injured taking evasive maneuvers. Matter of fact, I have a couple of my police buddy friends who took the police driving class. and they tell you to square up the deer and hit it as in the middle of your car. I mean, not to try to avoid it. If it's going to hit you, like if you're going to hit it in the right fender or something like that, it is what it is. But do not try to avoid it. Just brake as much as you can and just drive through it. Believe it or not, that's what they say. No evasive.
Because that would actually help tenderize the meat, right?
Well, John, to give you an idea, my one deer I've had, and I'm not kidding when I say this, I've hit 19 deer in my life, okay? And I've killed several of them. The worst one was when I was driving to work one morning early. I was down in 94, down in the Matson Flats, people that know where there's at, just up from Klondike Park. And I was a little bit late for work, and I was doing about 80. And I was driving my wife's minivan, which she loved, and a deer jumped right out in front of me, and I hit it square. And the deer went right over the top of the car and was deceased behind my minivan. When the airbag went off, I tensed up, and I grabbed the steering wheel very hard, and I had my hand over, or my arm over where the airbag came out. So when the airbag came out, it jerked my hand off the steering wheel, broke my thumb, projected my hand into my forehead where you could see my knuckles that made an impression in my forehead. And I sat there sort of dazed. If you ever had an airbag go off, there's like powder inside the airbag. So I finally got off on the shoulder, and I'm in literally a cloud inside my car. And all I remember was some guy pulled up next to me, and I rolled down the window, and he says, "Hey, man, are you okay?" And I go, "No, man, I hit a deer." So anyway, police come, fire guys come, the Augusta fire guys come, the ambulance comes. They put me into, they strapped me onto a backboard. They put me into the ambulance, and one of the EMTs is telling me, "Hey, look, you made the fire department happy. A couple of the volunteer firemen are loading the deer into their truck, I guess to go home and slaughter it and whatever you do to it, to make deer steaks." So that was my worst one, where I ended up in an ambulance. But it's no fun.
And the worst part is you got none of that venison.
I got none of that, right? I'm the guy that's like going to Schnucks and buying the steaks, and somebody else is eating them. You know what I'm saying? It's just like,
yeah, I know exactly what you
it's
mean.
Like, what's
and
this
for
deal?
Folks who want to follow along on the Apple Podcast transcript, you can scroll down to the part that Brad uses the phrase "jerked my hand off." That's a good drop.
That's what happened, John.
Jerked my hand off.
That's what happened.
Usually
John.
it's the other way around, isn't it?
No, but seriously, the guy's exactly right. I know that sounds crazy, but there are more people who are killed and he's exactly right. If you're driving, especially some of the 2-lane highways, you drive off the road, if you're driving on 94 and you drive off the road, I mean, you are going to end up in the hospital because you're either going to A, roll over, B, hit a tree, or C, all of the above. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get exactly what you mean. And so you want to make sure you have room in your trunk to get that deer that you hit square on. Brad, would it be the same if you were hitting a pedestrian? Like if you're somewhere in Cottleville and you were to see a golf cart, or like a cripple, or like somebody walking out of the Economic Development, Commission of St. Charles, should you hit them square on, or should you just try to bump them a little and swerve?
John, mark my word. I'm the guy that is the soothsayer. I see into the future. I say between 2 and 5 years, one of the big stories in the entire St. Louis area, especially like in Cottleville and places where they've, made it legal for you to drive your golf carts on the sidewalks and stuff, or on the streets, there's going to be somebody who comes along, Ralph Nader Jr. or Ralph Nader III is going to say, those golf carts aren't very safe. They don't have seat belts, and they don't have airbags, and they don't have doors. You can just fall right out of the side of it. And people are going to go, "Oh my God, we got to make those golf carts safe." Get what I'm saying, John?
We're going to make this clip available when we dedicate the Brad Hildebrand Memorial Cul-de-sac in Cottleville. You won't get a major thoroughfare, but you'll probably get a cul-de-sac. We'll be able to play this clip and say, Brad foretold all the accidents here.
John, I'm telling you, it's going to happen. It's just one of those things, and it's going to be, we'll talk about it later. But
yeah, we'll have to talk about that at a different time. By the way, at the Brad Hildebrand Memorial Cul-de-sac, every house will be required to have a yard sign. And we'll also play a yard sign about, yeah, I ain't got no metrics, but you tell me the metrics of a yard sign at the end of a cul-de-sac. Ain't nobody see that. Hey, speaking of campaigns, let's get to story number 2.
Up a notch to number 2.
St. Louis Public Radio's Jason Rosenbaum has a column called On the Trail. It's where he gives his analysis and opinion and not just straight ahead news reporting. I love Jason's columns. I think it's fair to say I read all of them. Jason's column today, these Missouri elections could be a magic 8-ball for next year's national contests. Jason has a great lead to his piece. It goes like this. If there were a contest for which party's voters possess the most enthusiasm right now, Democrats would arguably be winning. And Jason goes on to point out the progressive victories that took place, gosh, I guess that was 2 weeks now, Brad, almost 2 weeks now across the country. Political candidates and activists and advocates are always looking at the so-called national tea leaves. And then political wonks talk about the enthusiasm gap. Which party is more motivated? Which is more likely to come out and vote? We do this every election. Jason points out that a whole lot can happen between November 2025 and November 2026. But at the same time, he highlights the state of play in a few different districts. Now, one of Jason's strengths is not only a long institutional base of knowledge about Missouri politics, but Jason does a good job of previewing things to look for in elections and the lead up to elections. Excuse me. And also Jason does a great job of going back and doing a retrospective. So in other words, he'll ask questions before an election, and then he'll go back and he'll answer them after the election. Jason highlights a few races to keep our eye on. If we look at national campaigns, I should say federal campaigns, you have the 8th Congressional District. That's Jason Smith down in the Boot Heel, down in southeast Missouri. You also have the 2nd Congressional District. That's Ann Wagner's district. Jason breaks down the Democratic primaries for those races. Jason also says ballot items will be a major Democratic test. Now, Brad, you and I have beaten the new Amendment 3 to death. We've talked about it ad nauseum. I don't think we need to dive back into it here. But Jason points out that whether it's abortion or whether it's the quote-unquote gerrymandering vote, Missourians are going to get a chance to weigh in on some pretty controversial partisan issues. Jason also highlights a couple state rep races. Now, Jason highlights a couple Democrats that don't have any chance of winning. One is a district that the Democrats lost by 26 points. In West County, some gal wants to run and fill the Democrat ballot slot out there. And then there's some other gal that's running in Franklin County who ran last time for state rep. I didn't even bother looking up what district it is. But Jason says that she only got 29% of the vote. So I don't know this woman. I'm guessing it's just another vanity campaign, something like that. She only got 28% of the vote. So I'm guessing she just likes to see her name on a yard sign or on the ballot or something. Who knows? But Jason does a good job of previewing a little less than a year out from elections where we are and where that enthusiasm might be.
John, don't take this the wrong way. I read the article, and to me, you know what my reaction to the article was?
What's that?
First off, ask anybody under the age of 30 what a magic 8-ball is, and they'll go, I don't know, because that's like old-timey kind of stuff. What do you call that?
Yeah, my kids have magic 8-balls, and they love them, and I think everybody in Gen Alpha knows what a magic 8-ball is,
well,
but thank you.
I disagree with you there. Second off, after I read this article, I thought to myself, duh. I mean, here's the problem the Republicans have. You got the nutbags like the Adam Schneltings of the world who get in power. Oh, we got to have a law, so when I'm heading to Jefferson City, if you're not in the left lane doing at least 120 miles an hour, I'm going to throw you in jail. That's why this swings back and forth, because the party that gets into power goes power drunk, and they put all this crazy weird stuff into the into the amendments and all the other kind of stuff. It's like, to me, the Republicans, they said just chill. Hey, you know what? Things are moving along kind of nice right now. We're going to tweak a couple things. Yeah, we're not going to do anything radical.
That sounds like a campaign pitch for a guy in story number 1. Let's get to it, Brad.
You get what I'm saying, John, though?
I get exactly what you're saying. And with 3 minutes left, let's get to story number 1.
The number 1.
Brad, I said that 2 of our 3 stories would uniquely involve you. Number 3 was about people choosing to try to avoid hitting a deer, but just accepting their fate and hitting a deer. Story number 1 is about an old man who's a dementia patient. Rudy Keller from the progressive blog Missouri Independent has a story today with a dazzling headline. How a Nebraska veteran unwittingly became a repeat donor to a Missouri county campaign. The subheadline, Republican Bill Eigel is, Brad Hildebrand alert, once again facing accusations that his campaign relies on deceptive fundraising tactics to lure out-of-state donors to give recurring contributions. Now, we only have a couple minutes left here, Brad, but you'll recall during the Missouri governor's primary, in 2024, and in the lead up to that, back in 2023, we heard stories about how Bill Eigel's campaign, particularly his PAC, Bill PAC, was getting recurring contributions from folks all around the country. And as it turns out, these folks would give money to Bill. For example, they might get an email pitch about generally national topics, decide to contribute to the Republican fight against socialism and other Democrat boogeymen, and then they would be charged a recurring contribution fee. Now, back in the governor's primary, this raised the ire of President Trump and President Trump's team. And these are my words, and I'm paraphrasing here. The Trump team said, hey, Bill, knock it off. Like, stop using our name to raise money, and particularly stop using our name to raise money and then charge people a recurring fee. Now, to cut to the chase here, Brad, what Rudy Keller does is he goes and finds a guy named Russell Wood in Nebraska. Now, I'll pause here and correct myself. Maybe Rudy didn't find Russell Wood himself. Maybe somebody from Jason Law's campaign or Steve Ellman's campaign found Russell Wood himself. But someone found Russell Wood, a gentleman in Nebraska, who made 35 donations totaling $1,050 over the last year to Bill Eigel's campaign for St. Charles County Executive. And I think you see where this story is going. This gentleman doesn't know who Bill Eigel is, doesn't know that Bill Eigel is running for county executive. This gentleman does say, he does concede that he checked a box to say that he would continue contributing on a recurring basis to Bill Eigel. Now, the part that involves Brad Hildebrand here is that this gentleman says that he has been diagnosed with early dementia. And this gentleman says that he is combating it with vitamin and other therapies. So this gentleman says, quote, I didn't find out about this year's donations until I got a note from someone thanking me for help. And then when I started getting my thoughts back and my memory was rebounding, I realized, holy crap, I've given almost $9,000 the last 4 years. Now, he closes with a vulgar phrase, Brad. I've got my mammary and a ringer here. So this gentleman says that he's tried to do things to proverbially and literally uncheck the box so that he's not giving recurring contributions. The bottom line is, Rudy goes on to point out what percentage, the huge percentage, of contributions to Bill Eigel's campaign come from out-of-state folks. And generally, a lot of them come from recurring contributions. So they'll occur like roughly the same time of month. Pardon the expression, but they'll come the same time of month and they contribute to Bill. So, Brad, I think a reasonable person would see this. This looks bad for Bill. And if you're Bill, I don't know why your team didn't stop doing this after the governor's race. I think most people would have given Bill a little latitude in the governor's race once attention was brought to this. If Bill said, hey, okay, we're going to stop doing this, we're going to start a new system or implement a new process, I think people would have given Bill the benefit of the doubt. But this looks really bad.
Are you Mark Cox?
I am not Mark Cox. No. Was Mark talking about this?
Where am I? Who are you? Am I on the radio?
What's the punchline here, Brad?
Am I on the radio right now?
Oh, I get it. See, there you go. Okay, I got the dementia thing. It took me a minute. So Rudy has some quotes here from Mike Hafner, who is a veteran, well-respected veteran. I mean, he's been around and experienced for a long time. Not he's a military veteran like this old codger, this Korean War guy. But Mike has quotes in here about the fact Mike is working with Jason Law. And Mike's comments are, hey, look, this is completely wrong of him to do. Mike Hafner is very close to Mike Kehoe. So you obviously see a connection here between people not being crazy about Bill Eigel. And here's what I would do if I was Bill. I think it's not enough for us to just talk about this. If I was Bill or I was working with Bill, I would start with this Korean War veteran with memory problems. I'd give him his money back. I would opt him out of it, period. End of discussion. Don't try to have a cute conversation with him. Don't try to get his endorsement. Just give him his money back. I would also instruct my campaign team to find a handful of other donors who have given recurring contributions, who don't know who I am, offer them their money back, and then I'm able to say, with a straight face, at bare minimum, the next time I'm asked about this, hey, we've refunded some contributions, and we've begun an effort to reach out to people who gave recurring contributions to confirm that they really want to give. If I'm Bill, I gotta stop this. If for no other than the Machiavellian reason that every reporter is going to keep asking you why you're taking money from poor, unwitting souls that don't understand they're contributing.
John, I haven't given any money to him. What are you talking about?
I know. Well, you don't have any money to give.
That's right. You're right on both counts. See, this is so bizarre. We're down to less than a year. This is sort of like this strange, weird political, kabuki that's going to be going over the next 11 and a half months. Essentially, aren't we like 11 and a half months out or something like that? Well, no, this
primary would be done in August.
That's right. This is the primary. Okay, so whoever wins the primary. You're right. I'm sorry. So we're talking like 9 months or something like that. Okay. It's just going to get weirder and weirder. That's all there is to it. It's just going to get weirder and weirder.
And this would be a good topic to bring up. 2 weeks ago, Brad, you had Bill Eigel co-host with you.
Yeah.
You had Steve Ellman co-host with you.
Yeah.
Jason Law wasn't able to make it because he was ill. It'd be a great question to ask Jason Law maybe this week if you book him on the show.
Well, it's interesting. We had him scheduled. I had him scheduled, and he was.
And it was his birthday, and he was sick.
No. I had him scheduled the week you were off. You did Monday, and I did 4 shows. I actually did 3 shows. Didn't do the one show the one day, and he was scheduled to do the Friday show, and he got sick. So
that's what I just said, right?
No, but I got sick last week. And then I canceled him because he was supposed to be on.
You were so sick that you left a ringer on your phone when you're on the air.
John, why does that bother you?
Because I would hear it when I listened to the BS show, and I would think, what kind of a moron has so little respect for his audience that he leaves an alert on his phone? Like, what could possibly be more important right now than talking to your audience?
I am a moron, John, but see, here's the thing.
And why can't you put it on vibrate like a normal human?
Do you remember the guy, you're probably too young for this, the guy who did the 7-Up commercials where he was like the Jamaican guy? Oh, hey,
yeah,
man,
he was a black-looking guy.
The uncooler. I try to be the unradio guy because
oh, boy, isn't that the truth?
The regular radio guy would say,
coming up, we have Brad's Top 3. You can't find it at Brad's Top 3 anymore because you quit that, Brad. But we're going to hear Brad's Top 3 coming up in B-Block.
Here's the interesting problem. John, our business is in a state of flux, okay? I'm like the Howard Stern of the new radio. I'm not, maybe I'll make $500 million a year or something like that. I'll ignore you and I won't talk to you anymore. And
I would love that.
I live in my penthouse in New York. But the problem is your thing like, oh, I'm a moron. He lets his phone ring. Okay.
I didn't say you were a moron. I said, what kind of a moron does that? I didn't call you a moron.
Well, I am a moron.
I said only a moron would leave their phone with notifications on during the show.
Guilty as charged. Because here's my problem, John. I'm on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Yeah, and does Vibrate not work on your phone?
But I don't hear it.
That's why, then, Brad, you would hear it if it vibrated on a table. Or here's an idea. You don't have any use for sperm anymore. Why don't you keep your phone in your pocket, and then you would feel it vibrate against your legs?
John, I'm a very sound sleeper. Matter of fact, if you want to hear a funny story, I cannot give the details, but all I can say is that last week, I was sleeping within 50 feet of a running gun battle, and I'm not kidding. I was within 50 feet of a running gun battle, and I slept through the entire thing, where at least a dozen shots were exchanged.
There's no gunfire in Warson Woods, Brad. Get out of here.
Okay, John, we've done.
Hey, call that person back and let them know that your co-host called you a moron.
Hold on a minute. Here, let me see who it was. Well, we'll call him in B block because that's my block.
I love that. Yeah,
I can do whatever the hell I want. Okay. Here we go. And by the way, Info Dude has given me a new name because I talked about my thing. He calls me now Knuckles Hildebrand because my knuckles hit my forehead.
I love Mike Ogden. He's fantastic.
When my hand jerked off of the steering wheel. How's that, John?
You got it jerked off, Brad.
Okay.